Brigadier General Amir Avivi heads the IDSF, the Israel Defense Security Forum. It's an organization of high-ranking security officials. Thank you for joining me today at the Media Line.
My pleasure.
General, a lot has gone down since we spoke last, and talk on the streets here in Israel is a comparison between the Gaza and Lebanon campaigns, the former marking the numerous IDF casualties and at a snail's pace, while the world is looking with amazement at the razor-sharp, effective effort in Lebanon. Please help us to understand the subtleties that are being missed.
Well, Israel has been preparing for 18 years for a war in the north, really building amazing capabilities. Among others, we saw the attacks with the Vipers, communications, being able to target leadership, the storage houses, really an amazing capability. And I've been saying all along, all last 11 months, the day Israel will go from defense to offense in the north, we'll see things we couldn't imagine. But I must say that even I'm surprised to see the ability of the Israeli Defense Forces, which basically brought Hezbollah on the verge of destruction without even one soldier crossing the border. The whole leadership has been toppled, and the IDF is continuing to dismantle Hezbollah. There's a big question: when will the Lebanese people wake up and understand the historical opportunity they got to get rid of this vicious terror organization that has taken them hostage for so long?
The pager plot, and if you can call it that, it appears to be headed for military legendary, right up there next to the Trojan horse. Surely it required a considerable amount of time to pull it off. What was the indicator that it was time to pull the trigger?
Yes, things like that take a long, long time. It's a buildup of capabilities that takes years. I think that the moment that Israel decided to shift the center of gravity from the south to the north, then starting this campaign, that is a campaign that reminds the American strategy that has been developed in the early 2000s called the shock and awe, to create complete shock on the enemy side with multiple attacks in sophisticated ways that take the enemy completely out of balance. And I think this is what Israel has done. And at the peak of this amazing process, the toppling of all the leadership of Hezbollah in their main headquarters, destroying completely really the heart of the command and control of Hezbollah, and eliminating Nasrallah himself. I think that the whole world, and certainly the Middle East, is looking at it amazed and shocked. And this is just the beginning of a big victory for Israel on all fronts. And we know that maybe the biggest challenge is ahead, and the biggest challenge is Iran. We cannot let Iran become nuclear, and we'll have to deal with this eventually.
Well, you say eventually, and yet they daily are involved in all of their proxies, aiming all kinds of rockets at Israel. So why do you feel that that's something long-term?
No, and I'm not saying it's long-term. It can be very short-term. And I think it's time that the U.S. shows leadership and understand the historical opportunity to deal with Iran. Israel at the moment is almost by itself dismantling all the proxies of Iran. But I think that dealing with Iran, it's a global issue, it's a regional issue that should be led by the US. And what Israel did in 7 days against Hezbollah, a global coalition can do in 3 days in Iran. This is not about boots on the ground. It's not about spending 20 years in Iraq or Afghanistan. This is about a major airstrike to take out all their major capabilities. It doesn't take a long time, and it will change completely the fate of the globe. Nuclear Iran will be devastating for everybody. It's not just about Israel. It's about the whole Western society.
Do you think that a killing like this of one iconic leader is going to change the face of the whole campaign?
I think it's a huge success, but it's not enough. We need to really dismantle the whole organization And in order to bring back safely the 60,000 Israelis who have been misplaced for so long, 11 months, we need to push Hezbollah out of South Lebanon. And if they don't surrender and simply walk out, Israel will have no choice but to do a ground incursion, creating a buffer zone and really destroying all this huge infrastructure that Hezbollah has built in South Lebanon. When the Israeli citizens will return home, they need to see IDF on the other side. They need to see Israeli flags. They need to know they're safe, that they're not going to experience a danger like the South on the 7th of October.
That's coming from the Israeli side, but there will be retaliation for what Israel is involved in. What do you anticipate?
Well, it's hard to say because I think that big dilemma. I understand that Israel actually might want a regional war and might want to push Iran into reacting in order to take advantage and attack them. Israel is not deterred. They are not deterred. We are not deterred from Iran. They know that, so they are very worried about what's next, and they are not sure what to do. And I think that within a few weeks, when the campaign in the north will be mostly over and the Air Force will finish destroying most of Hezbollah's capabilities, the whole Israeli Air Force will be available for one main mission, dealing with the East, dealing with Iran, if we need to also the militias in Iraq and in Yemen, while sustaining the operations in Gaza and in the north that don't require too many planes at this stage.
Brigadier General Avivi, let's talk about the United States' involvement. Did they know that Israel was going to take out Nasrallah?
No, this is something that in order to really keep things secret, Israel always does these operations without letting anybody know. We cannot allow a reality where somebody will, will tell another party that something is happening. This is top secret, and Israel always keeps the secret close. Unlike, by the way, the attack in Yemen, where in order to do that, we did a coordination with Central Command. It's not something we can hide. And I'm happy that President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris eventually supported the attack and mentioned how important it was to take out Nasrallah. This shows that when you do the right things, eventually everybody joins. We know that the top priority was a ceasefire, but the ceasefire doesn't work for Israel. We need to win decisively on all fronts and eliminate these dangers on our borders, and a ceasefire is not going to solve our problems.
Well, President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris both are pushing for a ceasefire. So how does the political position work in tandem with Israel trying to move fast and quick to be able to really center all of the things they're doing right now in Lebanon?
Well, they say that if you can't beat them, join them. And I think that the administration needs to understand Israel is not going to stop until we really win in this war. And I think that this is a huge opportunity for the US to really show leadership, lead, be part of this big victory, historical victory that is going to happen, and lead a coalition against Iranian regime and their nuclear programs. This is what we really expect from the US. So I think that the US needs to go back to its basic DNA and go back to be eagles that really make sure that the world is safe. And you cannot make the world safe just by appeasing enemies. You need to know when to stand strong.
If we go back for a moment to moving the border and going back to Resolution 1701, which states that there needs to be a demilitarized Lebanon. It's far from that all these years. So what can Israel do legally?
Well, Israel legally, first of all, needs to defend itself. Well, we have been attacked unprovoked. We have 60,000 citizens misplaced. We need to restore security. So we have all the right to do everything needed to really restore security to Israel. And I think that at the moment, the only theoretically speaking, the only force that can really impose 1701 is Israel. We have seen a complete failure of the international community to do so. UNIFIL is completely ineffective. I don't see any country volunteering at the moment to send divisions and secure South Lebanon and clear Hezbollah from this area. So now it's up to Israel. What will happen next? We don't know. But first, we need to set the terms to return back safely our citizens. Then we'll have to negotiate and see if there is a solution that we can live with that will really ensure that never again there will be a terror army on our borders.
Turning to the southern border, and this is extremely important, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that there's been victory there, yet 101 hostages still remain. What is the victory?
So we set three goals. One is dismantling Hamas as a military and governmental entity. The other one is returning all the hostages, and then creating a reality where never again there will be a terror army in Gaza. We managed to dismantle Hamas as a military entity, and we see, by the way, as we are attacking Hezbollah fiercely, and even targeting Nasrallah, in Gaza, they haven't been able to shoot even one rocket, not even a mortar. So yes, Hamas has been dismantled militarily. It's not that there are no terrorists. There are terrorists that still have capabilities, but they are not functioning as an army. We haven't dismantled them as a governmental entity yet. We haven't returned all the hostages, so we have a lot to do yet in Gaza. And one of the things we need to do is really take control of the humanitarian aid, prevent this aid from Hamas, make sure that it goes only to citizens, and start doing a siege on areas where there are no citizens, while supplying the citizens in the humanitarian zone, but do a siege on the terrorists to really get them to surrender and not continue their aggression. And there will be a moment when we'll break Hamas, and I think we'll get all the hostages back, but it's a process. At the moment, we're focused more on the north, but we are also continuing operations in Gaza. Gaza, we didn't stop attacking. Even this morning, the Air Force attacked headquarters of terrorists in northern Gaza, and we'll see soon enough other operations there until we reach all the goals of war.
You don't characterize it as a win at the moment, do you?
No, a win, we can say win when we achieve the goals of war. Winning is achieving the goals of war. We haven't achieved all of them yet.
Can you confirm a Channel 12 report in Israel that there were eyes on Sinwar, but Israelis' defense forces could not take him out because of the hostages that were embedded with him?
No, I don't know this piece of information. I cannot confirm it. I do know that Israel is doing everything to really find him, and also everything to release the hostages. I think that what's happening in the north will impact dramatically also the south. I mean, when Hamas sees the way Israel is destroying Hezbollah, they understand that it's game over for them. They hoped that a regional war will shift everything in their favor, and it's working exactly the opposite.
We have discussed the endgame before. What's the best option now for the future of Israel and the Gazan people?
So I think that the day after Hamas, and we have to make sure that there is no Hamas, no Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and also not the Palestinian Authority, and start building new leadership based on the local clans and the municipalities, step by step, rebuilding Gaza, but making sure that Israel has overriding security responsibility, and we are able to make sure that never again there will be a terror army in Gaza. This is something that needs to happen, and the big question is, how do you de-radicalize the society? This is a very, very long process. we need to understand it will take years to dismantle all the terror infrastructure and also do a process of de-radicalization.
October 7th's first anniversary is near. Many Israelis still want answers to why Israel was not prepared for the Hamas invasion, and they didn't have a plan they're very capable of. Witness what just went down in Lebanon.
Israel really thought that the main war will be in the north and not in the south, and didn't prepare properly. And this is, we're paying for this, and it's a big lesson for the next time to understand that we really need to be prepared on all fronts, invest intelligence on all fronts, and not allow a terror army to attack us like that.
Is there anything else that the IDF can do to bring closure to all these families who are suffering the entire year?
Enhance the military pressure on Hamas, deal with the humanitarian aid, and eventually I think there will be victory and we'll bring back our hostages.
Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you are these days with the media line. And Shana
Thank you very
Tova.
much. Thank you.